D.O.L injury centers. How's everyone doing today? I can promise you this will not be the most exciting presentation you've ever heard, but it will be very informative. That was a joke. I know TSA is real strict.
This may be the most important presentation you ever hear under certain circumstances around here. They try to get rid of you. But this will keep you eating. So you need to pay attention. Please.
Thank you, Glass.
Well, that's quite the build-up. So again, not the most exciting, but it's very important. So in everyone's blue folder, there is a what should a worker do when they're injured. I'm basically going to summarize this and then perhaps answer some questions in general that you guys may have regarding what to do next. So the first thing is HR cannot tell you where to go when you get hurt. The rules and regulations by OWCP specifically states that you have the right to choose your own physician after you go to either the ER or an urgent care center or wherever. So the first myth to dispel that I've been hearing from TSA is they want me to go to their physician. The only time that you ever have to go to a physician appointed by the TSA is for a second opinion. But we'll put that on the side. So what do I do if I get hurt? The first thing we do if you get hurt is contact your supervisor. Make them aware of the injury. There are two types of injuries that occur at work as regulated by OWCP. One is called a traumatic injury, and the other is called an occupational disease. The traumatic injury happens one time over 1 day. So for example, if you're lifting bags on the conveyor belt to go into the x-ray and you do it over an 8-hour or a 10-hour shift and you feel your back hurting at the end of the day, that's a CA1. If you're at the x-ray machine and you're using the mouse and you've been at the x-ray machine for 3 months because you're an excellent x-ray observer and you start to develop pain in your wrist, that is called an occupational disease, or commonly referred to as a repetitive stress disorder. Something you do continuously over a period of time. There's only two types of injuries. So depending on what injury you suffer, you need to immediately tell your supervisor, which leads me to this up here. This is called ECOM. It's the way you register an injury with OWCP. Most of the patients that we take care of at our office are postal workers. Their supervisors are very familiar with how the process works. The Postal Service has been in effect for 200 plus years. OWCP has been in effect, I believe, since 1973. So TSA, I'm not quite so sure when it first started. Anybody know when TSA began? Perhaps 1992, 93? Anybody have an idea?
No. That's 2011.
2011, okay.
No. After 9/11.
Okay, so 2001.
2002, 3.
So if you will, your TSA is slightly behind in the OWCP practice. So, this is called ECOM. The web address is www.ecomp.dol.gov. So I would encourage everybody, whether you're injured or not, to register with ECOM. Once you register with ECOM, if you are injured, the only thing you need to do after you go in and claim what type of injury you have is that you need to have your supervisor's email address. ECOMP will then email the supervisor your accident report. They then have, listen to this very carefully, they have 10 days, and only 10, not 11, they have 10 days to report that injury as verifiable. Okay? The next thing you have to do that's very important is get a receipt of that exchange, which means you'll get an email that says your supervisor processed that claim. If you do not get that receipt within 10 days after that supervisor received the email to process your claim, you need to contact that supervisor and let him or her know that time is ticking. Because if you don't have a receipt and you go to a doctor's office and you don't have a claim number and you go past a certain amount of days, there's nothing to prove that you initiated that claim. If you go to the wrong practitioner and they do not know how to fill out the forms, or they do not know how to write the report, you run the risk of having your claim not approved, which will in turn interfere with your ability to get your CA7 if you happen to be out of work for up to 45 days, and so on and so forth. So it's very, very, very important to choose the right physician's office. Fortunately, you're listening to someone who that's all we do. All we do is take care of OWCP entries. So there isn't any guesswork. There's a very simple solution to how to do a claim. There's 5 elements of a claim that have to be represented in all reports. So we know all those 5 elements. We know how to communicate with OWCP. We also know how to communicate with you guys, because most of the times on an initial injury basis, you guys are nervous, scared, intimidated. That man is your man. That's the guy that's going to make sure that your claim is taken care of. So just a little background on me. I've been in practice for over 30 years. I like the good fight. And the good fight is, I don't like anyone denying a claim. Someone in some ivory tower someplace is going to tell my claimant that they didn't hurt themselves in the way that they hurt themselves, and then now it's on, because I'm going to go to the mat for it. I don't like anyone to tell me how to take care of a patient, and I don't like anyone to tell me that a patient didn't get hurt. So that's kind of the MO at our office. We are full advocates for the whole process from beginning to end. 80% of the time it runs pretty smooth.